So whenever I'm making bass lines, there's a few things that I consider and try to incorporate. And in this video, I'll be trying to show you guys those things. So let's get into it. I got two beats here on Ableton, and the first beat's going to be when I'm sampling things, how I create bass lines. And then the second one is when I play some chords on the keyboard and I want to make a bass line. So first we have the sample beat right here, and let me show you guys what I do. Whenever I'm making bass lines, I usually use the operator, and I just love the way it is. I love the interface of it, and I feel pretty confident when I'm using it. So let me show you guys why. This is the beat right here. So that's the beat right there, nothing crazy. And yeah, so let me show you guys how I get these bass lines. Usually when I'm sampling stuff and I want to figure out, what keys to play or whatnot, I just play random keys on the keyboard and see which notes sound the best with the sample. So it goes a little bit something like this. So as you saw right there, I started off just playing random notes, and once I found notes that sounded pretty decent with the bass line or with the sample, I stuck with those notes and continued to see which other notes sounded good. After a while, I had a few notes under my belt and I was able to play them confidently. So after you have a few notes that sound good, that's when you want to record something. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we have the bass line recorded. Pretty much just off the top of the dome, just kind of improvise something right there. And let me show you guys what I got. So if you take a look here and then look at the bass, the kick drum notes, a lot of the notes from the bass line fall either on top or right next to the kick drum notes. So you see we have bass on the one on the right between the 3 and the 4, between the 4 and the next bar. And let's look at the kick drums. So we have one. The 1 is just that it's clipping a little ahead. Then we have 1 on the 3, a kick drum note on between the 3 and the 4, between the 4 and the next bar. And yeah, pretty much almost the same thing. And usually when I play bass lines, I kind of try to complement the kick drum with the bass line. So, I'm playing bass notes based off of what the kick drum is. So that doesn't mean I'm playing a note exactly on every kick drum note. And that doesn't mean that every bass line note is going to be exactly on the kick drum note. I'm just playing notes that kind of, like I said, complements one or the other. So let's take the sample off and just play the drums. And so now I'm gonna just press random notes that sound good with the kick drum. So I can do something like this. And so as you hear, if you look at these notes right here, I'm playing bass notes pretty much on the same notes as here. So that's pretty much what I do when I make bass lines, just find some good notes and stick to those notes and then kind of complement the kick drum. So let me show you guys a few extra things that I do. So like I was saying with the operator, the reason why I like this thing so much is because you can do so much with it. So sometimes instead of just using, the blank interface, I'll make a little shape like that, and that turns that basic sine note into something that sounds like this. Other than just doing that, I also play with the LFO a little bit and change up the amount, and this basically makes the bass line have an LFO for the pitch. So instead of sounding like this, it'll sound like this. And it kind of has like a little vibrato or something like that. A few other shapes that I like to play with on the oscillator is sometimes I just fill up the whole thing. I don't usually do 32 or 64. I just stay on 16, fill it up. And, you know, play with that. But for this beat, I kind of like the way it sounded. Just this. Hold up. Bam. Let me show you guys the other beat and show you how I make bass lines when I actually know what the chords are and I play the keys or whatever. So let me get that beat up. So let me show you guys the beat, and then let me show you how I will create a bass line for this. That's the beat, just another little simple loop. And for this one, I was going for a little bit more of a boom bap feel, just to have some variety with these bass lines. Same thing as the other beat. We have the operator right here, and we have the oscillator selected. And we're just gonna start off with a blank slate, and let's see how that sounds. So yeah, just a regular sine. Make sure you also change the release. Usually it starts off at 400, but I like to put it down to about 100 milliseconds, and that makes the release sound perfect. If it's at 400, it kind of drags along. And then if it's at 0, it makes that little clipping sound that I don't like. So at 100, it's perfect. So for these chords, I played a D major 7, and I played that over a E. Then I went down a half step, D flat major, down to a C major 7 over D. So since I know what those chords are, I can easily find the bass notes and play them. Usually when I'm playing bass lines for chords that I already know, I'm playing the notes that I played in my left hand. So in my left hand, I played the E, and then I played the E flat, and then I went down to the D. So I already know that I want to play those notes as the bass line. So with that being said, let's get a sound that we like. Bam. And then let's turn on that LFO to get some vibrato. We'll put it at about 12%. So now let's see what we can do. All right, so I found a cool little pattern. Now I'm gonna hit record and see what we get. All right, so we have our bass line recorded, and this is how it's looking. Only notes I played were E, E flat, and D. And then I also had some accent notes that also sounded good with it. So like I said, complementing the kick drum with the bass line. So you see we got a kick on the 1, we got a kick between the 2 and 3, and then we got another kick on a 3 and between the 3 and the 4. So let's look at the bass line. So right here on the bass line, we got the 1, then we have some complement notes, another bass on the 1. So as you can see, it's always a bass note hitting on the 1. And if you look closely, you'll see that the bass notes aren't hitting exactly on time, perfectly on time. And usually I like to have a little bit delay between the kick and the bass line. I feel like it's just a little bit more impactful and it gives a nice little swing. With that being said, that's going to conclude this video. Just a quick little tutorial on how I do bass lines. I don't think I have the best bass lines in the world, but some of you guys like them, so I just figure why not show you guys how I do it. But yeah, with all that being said, hopefully you enjoy. Make sure you subscribe and peace out.